Okay, so let's start the session. So we are on the first question. First question says the Colombo weather records daily rainfall values for 1 month. Write down 2 examples for information that can be found by processing the above mentioned daily rainfall data. So since they are considering the daily rainfall data for a 1 month, that means for 30 days they are recording uh, what that they are having, right? So we can take the total rainfall for the month, you can take the average rainfall for the month, you can take the maximum rainfall, you can take the minimum rainfall, you can take the what the mean of the rainfall, right? So likewise different kinds of informations can be generated from the data that they are collecting over 30 days of period, right? So I'll go with the marking scheme as well, right? So let me show you the marking scheme. So as it shows, yeah, there you go. So any two of them, like maximum two of them. So be very careful when they are asking for two factors, just give only two factors for them, right? Don't go to provide more than two factors. Sometimes they will reduce mark, right? Because you are or they may not considering what you have written, because you have written something other than, or like something beyond the number of statements that they are asking you to write. So right, so any one of these, right, what you can see on the screen, any two of these will give you 2 marks. So if you got any alternative answers, just let me know as well, right? So I'll consider how it happens. Right, so moving to the second question. So the second question is saying, let me place it somewhere over here. Okay, so the second question is saying, consider the following diagram with images of some computer ports labeled from A to E. Identify the name of each port using the list given below. Write down the label of each port and its matching port name. Right? So the first one, it's the audio port. So this goes with A. And the next one is the network port, the RJ45. So this goes with B. And C means the HDMI. D, the picture is not clear in my copy, but they are talking about the USB. And E, it is on VGA, right? So A is for audio, B is for RJ45, C is for HDMI, D is for USB, and E is for VGA. All right, so the marks, the nature of the marks that they have given this is on this manner. So what they are saying is 2 marks for 4 or 5 are correct. 1 mark from 1 to 3 are correct. And look at this, exact spelling, important for B, C, D, and E, right? Because they are, that is the standard that they are writing, right? So it is a must, right? So moving to the third question. The third question says, convert the 1260, the decimal value, into octal equivalent. So how we are going to convert 1260 into an octal? So we are going to divide it by 8, since the decimal is converted into an octal, right? So there is 1, 4 is remaining. For 46 there are 5 8s, so 40. For 60 there are 7, and 4 is remaining. So 157 will be divided by 8 again. So like 1 for 15, and 7 is remaining. 77, it's 9, it is 72, and 5 is remaining. And when it comes to 19, we are divided by 8 again, so it's 2 and 3 is remaining. So when we are writing the answer, we can start it from 2 and goes to upward by considering the remainders, right? So this part is going to give you the answer, right? So the answer is going to be 2354, that is in octal. Later, what they are saying is convert A116 to its binary equivalent, right? So when it comes to the A116, so A will be over here for the 1. So what we are going to do is we are going to write each and every symbol as a 4-bit binary number, right? So the place values are going to be 1, 2, 4, and 8. 1, 2, 4, and 8. A means 10. So we can illustrate 10 by putting 1 for the 8 and putting 1 for the 2. So the rest of the things are zeros. 1 can be illustrated by putting a 1 above 1 and keeping the other places as 0. So the binary value is going to be 1 0 1 0 0 0 0 1 in binary, right? So let's cross check with the marking scheme. It's 2354 for the octal value, and 10100001 for the binary equivalent. So you get one for A part and another one for B part. Okay, so is it clear, people? Is it clear so far? Yes, everyone. Is it clear so far? Yeah, Saran, I just had to switch to this because like Zoom is getting a little bit expensive. So I was just trying to deal with the dollar rate, right? So that is the main reason. And like when I was researching about the alternatives, I really couldn't catch that they were the Google Meets were like on those rates and with those facilities, right? So I think it will be a good conferencing tool since they got this voice recognition, subtitles, and all these things. We'll see. Right. So moving to the next part, the fourth one. So the fourth one says, consider the following logic gate. Draw the truth table having two columns A and P for the above gate. So they have specifically said, draw the truth table with the two columns, right? Okay. Yes. Yeah, so the people are still getting enter. It's like, yeah. All right, so what we are going to do is we are going to draw a truth table which has only two columns, A and P. So before we fill out this A and P, we have to figure out how the A and P is working. So if we provide 0 to A, 0 will be reached here, 0 will be reached here, because it's the same line which is being divided. And since this is a NOR gate, NOR gate is capable of adding the inputs and complementing it. So 0 plus 0 will be a 0. Once it is been complemented, 1 will be output. If we input 1 for the A, so 1 and 1 will be reached as the input. So 1 plus 1 will provide you a 1. Then once I complement it, I will be getting a 0. So now it is easy, right? When A is given 0 or 1, when 0 is provided, P is provided 1. When 1 is provided, P is provided by a 0, right? So the truth table is going to be like this: 1 and 0. All right, so in the marking scheme, they have given you 1 mark excuse me, for the this particular compilation, like the derive of the truth table. And the next part, consider the following logic circuit, write down the relevant Boolean expression for S. That's quite easy, right? So we have 2 inputs, which are X and Y. So X reaches here, Y reach here. So here we got Y bar or Y dash. So this is going to give you X dot Y bar. And here we are receiving X because it is connected with the X. And this gives us X bar and this gives us Y. So since this is an AND gate, this is going to give us X bar dot Y. Since this is an OR gate, it's going to add up this particular input with this particular input. So it's going to give you X dot Y bar plus X bar dot Y, right? Or you can change the terms, right? Or else you can say X bar dot Y plus X dot Y bar, doesn't matter, right? So the 2 terms are being swapped, right? So if you got that answer, 1 mark is given. So that's how the 2 marks are being calculated in the first question. So moving to the 5th part. Yeah, before I move that, people, is that clear? How's the situation? All right, great. Great. Yeah, meanwhile, I'm just trying to figure out whether there are any way that I can have the chat on the float. I guess not. If I go for full screen, no, I'm not given the chance. Yeah, anyway. Right, so moving to the next question. So the 5th part, what they are trying to say is Amara wants to create a folder structure to store files methodically in his computer. He wants to separate folders for his study-related files of the subject maths and science. He also wants to store all his music files separately. He further wants to store all photos that he had taken in 2018 and 2019 separately. So, like it can have the it's going to be subjects are being divided over here, and music files need to be have separately. Photos that he had be taken in 2018 and 2019 separately. So it's a simple structure that they have given over here, right? And what they're asking is just match it with the words. The labels A, B, C, D, and E are going to be matched with the list. So it's easy. So like 2018 and 2019, it is regarding this photo categories, these ones. So then E is going to be 2019 definitely. And with the maths, the other one is going to be science. And A is going to be studies, right? Is it the studies? Hold on. Yes, it's going to be studies. And C, it's the it is staying alone, so it's the music. Suzo? Ah, okay. So you had your lunch, right? Good, good, good. And D, of course, it's going to be photos. Right, so A is studies, B is science, C is music, D is photos, and E is 2019. Right, so if you think about the allocation of the marks, it goes like this. So yeah, 2 marks if 4 or 5 are correct, 1 mark if 1 or 3, 1 to 3 are correct. So the 6th one, they are talking about some formattings, right? And ask you to match the formattings with the labels by the given list of icons from here. So the Randanigala, the A is going to be associated with Q, right? So with A, you need Q, this one, to underline the things. The effect of B is called the superscript. Superscript is indicated by S, so it is S. And this is italicizing, so that means this one, that means C goes with P. And D is over here, so they are talking about the list, so it's an unordered list or the number list, so it associates with U, right? So Q for A, S for B, P for C, and U for D, right? So this is the way they have given the marks. If 3 or 4 are correct, 2 marks. 1 or 2 are correct, 1 mark. Right, so the 7th one, in the 7th one it says, consider the following database table listing monthly sales and commission of sales representative. They have given a note in the above table, sales rep ID represents the identifier of the sales representative. All right, so they are asking which 2 fields should be chosen to make the primary key of the above table. So they have specifically asked which 2 fields, right? So that clarifies there is no one specific field that can act as a primary key. So we generally do not use the figures as the primary key. So it is obvious it's going to be the month and the sales rep ID, because sales rep ID cannot be taken alone because it has repetitions, as well as month cannot be taken alone, it has repetitions too. But if you consider a month and a sales rep, it's quite unique. January 2 only goes with this, right? So the two fields are going to be month and the sales rep ID. So, and in the B part, they say write down the most suitable data types for the month field. So, for the month field, they have center aligned the things. So, we can go with text. Total sales, we can go with currency. Right, so let's cross check this. Yeah. So they here even here they have considered these spellings. So the first part, it's month and sales rep ID for the primary key, and for the month it's the text data type, and for total sales it's the currency data type. Okay, so 1 mark for the A part and 1 mark for the B part. Okay, so we are moving to the 8th question. Yeah, 8th question is considering about a flow chart, and what they are saying is like they are given a particular output regarding 3 input marks for 3 subjects, right? And they calculate and display the average, as well as whether that particular student pass or fail, right? So that's the algorithm. You need to take 3 inputs, then calculate average out of it. According to that, they have to decide whether he is pass or fail. So here they have given you 4 different statements to be matched with this PQ, RNS. So what we can simply determine without even figuring out the algorithm is that this condition anyway comes inside here, right? So this is definitely Q because there is no other conditions over here, right? And we can definitely say 2 and 3 are outputs, right? So that gives the first one is the one which helps over here, right? So they have taken the numbers M1, M2, M3 over here. So it's obvious to add these 3 numbers together and divide it by 3 to calculate the average, right? So 1 goes with B. We have to figure out what is 2 and 3. So for 2 and 3, we need the condition. So the condition is asking, is average less than 40? Is average less than 40? So if you are less than 40, you are fail. So that means if the condition goes is average less than 40, if it is yes, you have to display fail. So this is going to be the S, and definitely this is going to be R, right? So P it is 1, Q it is 4, R it is 3 and S it is 2. Right, let's cross check with the yeah, this one. See, P1 QR Q4 R3 and S it is 2. Oh, what are you doing? Balancing? Okay, careful, careful. Okay, alright. Right. Moving to the next part, the ninth one. People, before I move to the ninth one, is it clear so far? Okay. Right. So moving to the next part, the ninth one. It's saying choosing from two words given within parentheses, select the suitable word that should be used to fill in each blank of the following statement labeled A to D. In your answer, write down only the statement label and the selected word for the blanks. A tiny illuminated dot of white, black, or any other color which is displayed on the computer screen is called a pixel, right? So pixel is going to be the answer. In blank graphics, the images are made up as a collection of lines. If the images are made out of a collection of lines, means it is a vector graphic, not the raster. So vector graphics are made out of like Adobe Illustrator and all these things, not with the Photoshop and all these things, right? And put a blank compression reduce the quality of the information. So we can easily guess it from the word lossless. I'm sorry, not the lossless, it is lossy, right? So it is been lost. Lossy compression reduce the quality of the image. Blank is an example for lossless file format. It's the GIF. Right, so if you match those things, so yes. Okay, Suzu. You have to clean it, Manika. Right, so A it's the pixel, B it's the vector, C is the lossy, D is GIF. So the last one, yeah, they are talking about the true and the false ones, right?
Daddy, this slime is already hard.
Okay.
Now we can take it and play with it.
Let it be, so I actually clean it, huh?
No, we can't. It's too hard. It's hard like a rock. We can't clean it.
Okay, for the 10th one, the statement A considered to be true and statement B considered to be false. Let's see why. So as I remember, yes, it was the email question. So in the email, like Gihan will be able to see both these parties, right? And two people will only see CC people will only see 2. And if there are any CC people, they will see that as well. Right, careful, you will hit on somewhere. Right, so since they are asking, Gihan can see the Hamid in recipient. Gihan is BCC. He can see the Hamid is a recipient. Yes, of course, that is true. Sharma can see that Gihan is a recipient. Sharma is in the carbon copy place, and Gihan is the blind carbon copy place, so he cannot see the recipient. Right? So it is false. Not that he cannot see. So like goes as the false statement. Okay, so the marks are being given like 2 marks, 1 mark per each. So see how much you got out of 20. And I'm moving to the next question. Yes, any lucky person who got, not lucky, any brainy person who got 20 out of 20? Okay. So the second one, oh, very well done, Dulagi. Okay, moving to the second one. Some information technology related risks are given below. So, yeah, so they have given you a list over here to identify what kind of a risk that they are maintaining, or like how the risk can be mitigated, right? Or what's the solution for the risk? So losing user files and folders due to a hard disk failure. So get in regular backups. That means P. A, it is P. So the second one, computer behaving abnormally after the use of flash drive. Like it could happen for many reasons, but since the reasons are given inside the list, use of antivirus software will protect you from the viruses. So machine will not act weirdly. Data in a computer connect to the internet, access remotely without authorization. Yeah, so data in a computer connect to the internet access. Yes. Do we have firewall? Yes. Yes. And frequent power supply interruption to a personal computer. So like it's like this. Frequent power supply will not good for any of the computers. It doesn't matter whether it is your computer or my computer or any other's computer. So the frequent power supply needs to be given. Then it's going to use the UPS, uninterrupted power supply. It says. So C, it is R. And D goes with UPS, right? That means T. So P for A, U for B, and R for C, and T for D. Let's cross check. Yeah, if P for A, U for B, R for C, and T for D. So if you got it correctly, you have given only 1 mark. Right, moving to the next part. The 3R techniques is well accepted for waste reduction. Explain these techniques with respect to reducing e-waste. So I'll go by the marking scheme. Okay, so these are the three ways: reduce, reuse, and recycle. So this says any two from the following, 1 mark for each. Explaining is important. No marks awarded for the just writing reduce, reuse, and recycle. So since they're asking you to explain, it's better you explain a little. Right, so reducing means reducing unnecessary purchases, using accumulation of electronic devices. Reuse is like either it can be a resale or sell or donate or repair, right? All the electronic devices. Recycling happens when we can't use that electronic device, we just recycle it to be used as a part of the computing. All right, so if you got any two of these, then 2 marks. Right, and the third part, the 3R techniques is well accepted for waste reduction. I'm sorry, we went with that. The third part, right answer for the followings. Write one way in which person can protect spreadsheet on his computer from unauthorized access. So you can easily put a username and a password. In Windows, it's a password, right? Or you can maintain it. Right, so the B says a person cannot afford to buy commercial spreadsheet software for his computer. He has to use spreadsheet software often and he does not like the expense and the inconvenience of going to an ICT center each time for it. Suggest one thing that he could do to fulfill his spreadsheet requirement. So there are many spreadsheet requirements. So what we can simply do is, hold on a second, people. Right. So like what he can simply do is he can shift to the free and open source software. Right. So yeah, if we go through the answers that they have given, so like the first one, using a password for the computer account or for the spreadsheet. Second one, installing open source spreadsheet, LibreOffice, Office, OpenOffice Calc, those kind of ones. So easy to use. And this one, yeah, hold on. Is it all? Yeah, the third one says to facilitate student learning, a school principal wants to start a management system in her school using an unused new computer. Write down one benefit that student can obtain through this LMS. So the benefits are being centered. Right, so these can be taken as the benefits. The obtaining study notes, supplementary study materials, getting feedbacks, online assignments. So all these things are the benefits of an LMS. Right? If you got any alternative answers, let me know. Right? Okay, moving to the part D. In part D, they are asking explain how a student can include in his essay without plagiarizing a part of the content of a website. So what we can easily do is we can cite it, right? So when we cite it, or like if we mention this particular content is taken by this particular person who published their book on this particular one, so then it has what it need to be, right? So in the marking scheme, and this is going to be the part D. You can do cite in, that means mentioning the rightful owner and his or her information, or quote in with inverted commas and give the details of the owner, right? And මෙයා තමයි මේ කිව්වේ කියලා යටින් පොඩි අපේ අකුරින් දීලා referencing list of resources from which the information was collected, right? Obtaining permission from, yeah, author, right? So any one of these, if there are any alternative answers, just let me know, right? And part E says a manager in a Colombo office wants to have a meeting with a manager in Jaffna, and Martha office using a video conference. Write down the requirements that are proposed in these allocations in order to use this facility. So right, so these things are the answer. So like multimedia projector, laptop and communication software and internet, either you should be written on that way, right? Or the computer and webcam and a communication software and internet. We are introducing it separately. උඩ තියෙන විදිහට ලිව්වත් හරි මෙහෙම ලිව්වත් හරි. Right, so the fourth question, what they are asking is they need to create a small network using a hub. So it has a server, a computer A and computer B, and a printer. So using the star topology, draw the topology diagram. So it is very easy. We know how the topologies are working. To start topology means you should have a central device and others must be connected to it. Okay, so that's the end of the second question. See how much you got out of 10. So 20 out of 20, it's the 20 mark question paper. 20 out of 20. Okay. So moving to the third question. Okay, So the third question is about the database. We have given three particular tables, and they are asking us to answer the questions using these three. Okay, people, just give me a second. Right. So let's go with this. There are three tables. Player table is there, the team table is there, and player team, something called player team is there. Right? And they have said specifically the captain ID is a valid player ID. Right? Now, captain ID means what? The thing that we are finding over here. Right? And player ID is what? Like in over here. So what they are saying is these two things are identical things. So that means they indirectly say this captain ID is the very same player ID. All right. So it's going to be a foreign key. That's what they are trying to say. Right. The nama vitarai වෙනස් කරගෙන තියෙන්නේ. අනිත් ඔක්කොම දේවල් like එකම ජාතිය කියලා කියන්නේ player ID එකේ එන valuesම තමයි that they have shown in the captain ID. Right. Okay. So let's look into this. Write down the primary key of team table. So primary key of the team table, it's easy, right? The team ID. Because you can't take team name, it is being repeated. You can't take age group, it is being repeated. Captain ID, it is a primary key of another one. Right? Even it is being repeated. So team ID is the only one which is not being repeated. So team ID can be taken as the primary key. And the part B, it is asking write down the possible primary keys available in player table. So for team table, it's team ID. And this question is special. It says possible primary keys, right? So when you look into this, you will realize in the player table, we know that player ID is unique. First name, there are repetitions. In the last name, even though they don't have repetitions, we are not considering a primary ID or a primary key with the last name. And student ID, even those got some identical values. Nothing has been repeated. Right? So there are two suitable keys or suitable fields that can act as a primary key. So those are player ID and student ID. So both should be mentioned. Right? So this is the way they have given you the marks. Part A is team ID, the primary key of the team table, and the primary keys that can be like the eligible primary keys. We call them the candidate keys in database jargon. So it's player ID and student ID, right? Not together, any one of those can be a primary key. Both the columns contain unique values. And the second one, so here you got 1 mark to say in about team ID. Here you got 1 mark. Right, so the third part, the second question, the second part, which tables or table needs to be updated to accommodate the following changes. A new student, PL Alvis, they have given the student ID, is admitted to the school and joined the under 17 cricket team in 2019. So if it is a new student, so definitely he is going to be a player according to this scenario. So that means a new player will be there. So that means you have to add a particular record on the player table. Right, and what else do we have? Right, so they said he's admitted to the school and joined the under 17 cricket team in 2019. So that means he should have details in the player underscore team channel or the table, right? Because it is the one which describes which team that particular player is there and which year they have joined. So since it is a new student, it's going to be P1007 if you think about how it's been written. If the team ID is new, so it's going to be T5, and the join year it's going to be 290. Okay, so likewise, what they asked in the second part, what they are asking is what are the tables that they need to update. So it's simple, the player table and the teams table. Right, and it says Nimal Fernando is appointed the captain of the under 19 volleyball team. Nimal Fernando is there in here. Right, so Yeah, so the Nimal Fernando, yes, our fellow Nimal Fernando, right over here. This is Nimal Fernando. So he is an existing student for the moment, right? So that Nimal Fernando, what have they said is appointed the captain of the under 19 volleyball team. So now, if we assign a captain, a captaincy, it's need to be updated over here in the team table. That means over here. So like earlier for the volleyball, it's P001 was the one, right? Suhara, don't disturb. Students are getting disturbed. Go to the living room. Go to the living room. Right, so that means team table should be updated as well. Right, so since he's in the player table doesn't need to be updated, right? Because it has only player ID, first name, last name, and student ID. So no influence has happened. Since the captain is changing under 17 volleyball, so this place need to be changed. This place need to be updated, right? And yeah, let's cross check the answer sheet as well. Yeah, so for the part A, it's player table plus player underscore team, and for the part B, it's just team, right? So 2 marks for the part A in second part, 1 mark for the part B. And the third one is asking what are the lines, or like the data lines that you should write. They have illustrated in the question. The writing pattern is also illustrated in the question. Right, so they said your answer should be on this particular map. So first they are asking what would be the updation for the question 2A, that means in here, right? So to write those two data lines. So look how they have taken it. In the player table, P1120, this P1120, the student ID is given. So you have to use that. The player ID is given in the question, right? So right over here. Suhara, it's getting disturbed, Manika. Reduce the sound. Little bit more. Little bit more. Okay, that's good. That's better. That's better. Keep it. Okay. So player P1120 PL Alvis S4205, that should be a one entry. And for player team, it's T2. He's going to join, and the player ID is P1120 2019. So 2 marks for the two records. And for the B, they have asked you a separate question, right? What they have said is like in 2019, the school starts an under 17 football team. It's a new one. Under 17 football teams. That means the table team should be updated. That means inserted with the new record. And appoints Shane Almeida as the captain. So Shane Almeida is in the database already, right? So this is Shane Almeida. So this student has been made as the captain of that. So in under 70, like there should be a entry for the team, for the new team, and there should be entry for these fields in the team and the player, because the team has only one member for the moment, which is the captain, right? So T7 and the player ID should be there, P1005. Then 2019 must be the starting or the join year, right? So that is why these two are there. T7 football under 17 P11 P1005. In player underscore team, it's T7 P1005 2019 must be there. So 2 marks for that as well. And in the last one, they are asking which table are to be joined to write a query to find the name of the under 19 cricket captain. So if you are going to find the name of the under 19 cricket captain, how we are going to find it? First we see where the under 19s. So we can see 2 under 19s are there, here and here. Since the team name is cricket, we choose this. And we can see the captain ID over here, which is P1002. From that, we are going to capture what is P1002. And we define it's the Raj Selvam, right? Yes. Raj Selvam is his name. So the question is, what are the query? What are the tables that you need to refer to write this query? They are going to check the name of the under 19 cricket captain. So we need 2 tables, right? It's the team table as well as the player table, right? So 2 marks for that. Okay, so that's the end of the third question. See how much you got out of 10. Any lucky person who got out 10 out of 10? Oh, that's good, Dulagi. Onetra, that's good. That's very good. Dulagi, Onetra, very good. Okay, so Aminha, even you got the 10, right? Very good. And it is Seran, right? Seran got 10 as well. Another Seran. Seran got 9. Who is there in the name of Pasan Pereira? I really don't get. Anyway, that's great. Okay, so I'm moving to the next question. So the 5th question, yeah, it's regarding the HTML and internet. So the first question, consider the following statement with blanks from A to F. Identify the most suitable term to fill each blank from the list given below. Write down the statement label and the matching term. The first one is blank determines the correspondence between domain name and the IP address of the internet. This is always asking people. It is the DNS service. Right? So this goes with A. So then the next one, blank is used to transfer large files from one computer to another over the internet. So we use FTP, file transfer protocol, to transfer a large files from one file to another. right? So FTP is going to be the answer for the part B. And C, there's a blank, is one of the most important protocols for email transport between the email servers. Yeah, it's the SMTP, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, which is for C. And in D is the top level domain of the domain name www.nie.lk. .lk is considered as the top level domain. So this is going to be the answer for the part D. And the blank could be used to find out web pages whose URLs are not known. So if we don't know the URL, what we are going to do is we are going to take a search engine and we check it. So that's the E. In the F, it says separates the username and domain name of the email address. So we know it's the @ symbol. Before the @ symbol, you have username, and after the @ symbol, you have the domain name, right? So F goes with the last answer, right? So I'll repeat it again. A, DNS services, B, FTP, C, SMTP, D, LK, E, search engines, F, the @ symbol. So let's see how the marks are given in here. So the marks are being given, like they have given 3 marks. So for 5 to 6 correct answers, 3 marks. 3 to 4 correct answers, 2 marks. 1 mark for 1 to 2 correct answers. Right? So those are the things that you are going to consider. So the second part, it's about the before we go for the HTML coding part, there is another, right? Yeah, let me check. Yeah, in the second one, it says choosing from the examples given in the list, write down the correct example for each of the label from A to D. Okay. So a web browser, a Mozilla Firefox, it is a web browser. So this is A. Programming languages for dynamic web content creation. Yeah, it's the PHP that we can use, people, which is B. And web authoring tool is the Composer, C. And the content management system is the Joomla, which is D. So A, it's the Mozilla Firefox, B is the PHP, C, it's the Composer, and D, it is Joomla. Right? So for those things, they have given you 2 marks. If all 4 are correct, or 3, any 3 or 4, you got 2 marks. If you got 1 or 2 correct, then only 1 mark. Okay, so the third part is about the HTML output. So the HTML output, I'll take the code to the next page so it will be easier for me. Right, so for the first one, you can see the title tags are there. So definitely the first one is going to be in between the header tags. right? So head tags should be there. So the first is going to be head. And the dengue fever, what is it and how to stop it? It's you can see it is as a big font, so definitely it's going to be header tags, which is h1 or h2 or h3. In your list they have provided you h3, right? So I think you have to go with the h3. Where's the list should be on the other side, right? No man, I remember it was h3 as they are talking about, right? So this is going to be h3. And since the third one is in the src, width and height and alt tag, it is about the image, so 3 stands for img to indicate the image tag. And the fourth one, it's kind of a paragraph that we got, so fourth one can be named as p tag. And the fifth, so from this point they are starting their people. Just give me a second, I have to answer this. Hello. Oh, Miss Mama class එකේ මේ වෙලාවේ මට තව විනාඩි 10කින් පස්සේ ගන්න. Right, okay. So the fourth one is paragraph, and you can see they are starting a table from this point. So dengue fever signs and symptoms, the 5 prevention tips. So if you look into the output, it's over here with the bold fonts and center aligned. So inside a table, bold font and center alignment is given by the th, right? So it's definitely the th that's going to be. So the fifth one, sixth one is going to be the th, and we know to have a th we need a tr, table row. So this is tr. And inside the second column, the first cell contains an unordered list, right? So you can see bullets are there. The other side, it's the numbers, so ordered and unordered list that we have. So definitely the seventh one is the ol, right? I'm sorry, did we talk about the seventh one? Yeah, hold on, not the seventh one. Seventh one is going to be a td, people. This is going to be a td, which indicates the next, the second row's first cell. And 8 is going to be an unordered list, which is ul, right? And so td close from here, unordered list close from there. And as the ninth one, it's the ol that we need to start, so it ends from here. And in as the 10th, it's very easy, since it comes with the anchor tag. This must be href, right? So href, the hyperreference, indicate where to be visit when the link is being clicked. So if I take you to the marking scheme, it goes like this. First one head, second one h2, third one img, fourth one p, fifth one tr, sixth one th, seventh td, 8 ul, 9 ol, and 10 it is href. So if all 10 are correct, 5 marks is given. If 7 to 8 are correct, 4 marks are given. If 5 to 6 are correct, 3 marks are given. 3 to 4 are correct, 2 marks are given. 1 and 2, 1 or 2 are correct, it's 1 mark is given. So see how much you got out of 10. Anyone who got 10 out of 10? Okay. Right. So let's quickly finish up the Excel and end the session, people. I hope you can stay, right? So we can discuss the 6th and the 7th by next week, plus the 2020's first paper. So it says consider the following spreadsheet segment, which consists of marks obtained by 40 students in a class for their 3 subjects at a school term test, right? So student marks for subject 1, 2, and 3 are shown in the column C, D, E, respectively. This spreadsheet is used to compute the Z score for each subject of each student and the final Z score for each student. So you can see, as they say, the student names are there, subjects are there, right? Z scores are there. So the final Z scores are there. So subject by subject, they have made the Z score. Then by the final Z score are being made. So in the first one, they say write out the formula that should be entered in cell C43 to calculate the average mark for subject 1 in the form of equal function 1 cell 1 colon cell 2. So they have given you a particular way, right? You have to write it like this. So cell C43 that they say, right? So that means right over here. Oh, I'm sorry, it's the D, not the C. So cell C43 is right over here. So they have taken the average marks of the subject. So as you can see, the range starts from here, goes up to this point. So it's from 3 to 42. So to find the average, we should use the function called average. So we can write equals average, capital simple does not matter, it's C3 colon C42. Let me recheck. It is C3 colon C42. Let's cross check with the marking scheme as well. Yeah, equal average C3 colon C42, right? So that's the answer for the first one, right? So this is the first answers, and from here they show the second answers, second part's answers, right? So in the second one, what they're asking is, if this formula is copied to cell D43 to E43, D43 and E43, write down the formula that will appear in cell D43. So D43 means this, right? So it's going to be equal average D3 colon D42, right? And I'll show you something important. And look at what they have said. Marks this only if one correct. Right? So 2 marks for the first part, Roman number 1, and 1 mark for the second part. Right, so the third one, the Z score for a subject of a student can be calculated by using the following formula. Z score student marks for the subject minus average marks for the subject divided by SD value of the subject. The SD values required for each subject are given in cells C44, D44 and E44 respectively. Write down the formula that should be entered in cell F3 to calculate Kamal's Z score for subject 1. So student marks for the subject minus average marks for the subject. So student marks is over here, average mark is over here. Right, then divide by SD value of the subject. So SD value, here's the SD value of the subject. Right, so this Z score is calculated by considering these three places. Right, so the question that they are asking is, yeah, what is going to be there in the F3, that means over here. Right, I'll go by the marking scheme. Look at how they have written it. So this is the way that they have said. It's C3 minus $C$43 divided by $C$44. And why they have used the absolute cell reference? It is because for all the subjects, for all these ranges, they use these two values always. It's in the living room, Susu. Go and ask from the Ammi. As you can see, the marks for the subject can be vary, so we can't absolute that. Right, and these two is common for every one of these subjects. So that is why they were making it absolute, right? $C$43 divided by $C$44, right? It doesn't matter if you write it like $43 divided by $44 because it's the same column. Nothing is going to change, right? And even they have given the value for $C3 as well, right? Because it's the number that's going to change, right? So any particular form which is shown over here, here and here will give you the marks. People, is that clear? Everyone, is that clear? Right. Okay. So the next question that they are asking is, if the formula is copied to the cell range F4 to F42, write down the formula that will appear in cell F42, which shows Khan's Z score for subject 1. So Khan's Z score, it will be changed accordingly. So here comes the equation: C42 minus $C$43 divided by $C$44. Right, because $C$43 and $C$44 are never going to change. It's only the C42 part, that C3 is changed accordingly into the C42. Right, so 2 marks for the part A, 1 marks for the part B. All right. So moving to the fourth part, the question that they are asking is, the final Z score of the student is the average of 3 Z scores for the subject. average of 3 set scores for the subject. Write down the formula to calculate the final set score value of Kamal in cell I3 using only the functions count and sum. So it's something to think, but not a very big thing. So how we are going to write this? First, you have to take sum of these three things using the sum function. Then you have to divide that by taking a count again to the same range. Since these things are values, it will count as 3. Sum will give the total of these. Count will give it is 3. So later, sum will be divided by the count. So it will give you the average. Right? So that is how they have said it in the marking scheme. See, sum F3 colon H3, that will give you the total, is divided by, they have used the divide operator, count F3 colon H3. Equal sign must be there at the beginning, equals sum F3 colon H3 divided by count F3 colon H3. Right? So if you got it correctly, you are given 2 marks. So the fifth part, assuming that the student's research score value for 3 subjects and the final research score for all students have been calculated, write down a formula that should be entered in cell I44 to find the highest final research score value in the form of function 2 cell 3 colon cell 4. So it's very easy. We have to use the max function, right? So according to the spreadsheet, the final research score, the range goes from where? Starting from here and it goes until here. So the highest will be chosen from that range and will be illustrated over here, right? So it can be written equal max I3 colon I42, equal max I3 colon I42, which will give you 2 marks again. So that's the end of the 5th question. So see how much you got out of 10. Anyone who got 10 out of 10?